Right now, the water level at Lake Mead is hovering near 1,060 feet. That is a terrifying number because if it drops just another 100 feet, the Hoover Dam, the lifeblood of the American Southwest, effectively hits dead pool, meaning the water is too low to pass through the turbines to generate power. We are looking at a potential collapse of the electricity and water supply for 40 million people. But here's what doesn't make sense. We have had years of above average snowpack and record rainfall, yet the system is still sliding toward a crisis. Because this isn't really about the weather, or a temporary drought, or even a lack of rain. It is about a 100-year-old legal fiction that is finally running out of reality. It's about the Colorado River Compact of 1922, a document that promised water volumes based on data from one of the wettest decades in history, numbers that never actually existed. And that system is starting to break in a way that affects 40 million people, the food supply of half the nation, and the lights of the entire Western power grid. By the end of this video, you'll see what is actually happening beneath the waterline, why the current management strategy is fundamentally flawed, and why this crisis is the blueprint for how major systems collapse in the 21st century. This is Tomorrow Explained. I'm Dennis Lesak. We explore the systems shaping the world just ahead of us. If you are just joining this conversation, we are mapping out how resource scarcity actually manifests in the real world. Before we get into the technical failure points, I want to hear from you. Are you seeing these constraints in your own utility bills or local water restrictions? Drop a comment and tell me where you are watching from. It helps me map out the next region I need to investigate. Let's start with the real-world signal. You look at the Imperial Valley in California. It is a desert, yet it is one of the most productive agricultural regions on the planet, growing a massive percentage of America's winter vegetables, alfalfa, and hay. They are able to do this because they have the oldest and most senior water rights on the Colorado River. They get their water first. That works until it doesn't. And this is where things start to break. The system relies on a mathematical error. When the Colorado River Compact was signed in 1922, the negotiators assumed the river carried about 18 million acre-feet of water annually. We now know through tree ring data and modern hydrology that the river actually carries significantly less. But the legal allocations were already set. We carved up a pie that didn't exist, and for a century, we just ignored the missing slices. This is the central paradox of the Colorado River. We are trying to support a 21st century population and a massive industrial agricultural complex with a 1922 map of reality. Cheap water isn't a natural right. It's a temporary system subsidized by over-extracting a finite resource. Now consider the pressure. We have millions of people moving into the Sun Belt, Phoenix, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, all expecting that when they turn on the tap, water will flow. But the river is no longer reaching the ocean. The delta in Mexico is effectively dry. The hidden system here is the reliance on reservoirs like Lake Mead and Lake Powell to buffer our mistakes. But those buffers are empty. As the water level drops, the pressure pushing against the turbines at Hoover Dam decreases. That leads to a cascade failure. Less water means less electricity, which makes the whole regional power grid more expensive and less stable. And this is where it gets expensive. And when we talk about consequences, we aren't just talking about higher water bills. We are talking about the potential for dead pool. That is the level at which the water is too low to pass through the dams. If we hit that, the entire plumbing system for the Southwest shuts down. There is no plan B, there is no backup river. The hidden system is that we have built cities in places that, by any biological standard, should be ghost towns. Water doesn't disappear, it just moves somewhere you can't use it. We are currently in a state of managed decline. The government is paying farmers to fallow their fields, paying cities to rip out grass, and trying to renegotiate 100-year-old contracts in a boardroom, while the physical reality of the river continues to shrink. The tension here is that we are trying to solve a permanent physical problem with temporary administrative band-aids. We are trying to negotiate with physics, and physics does not care about water rights. So where do we go from here? Some argue for massive desalination plants along the coast, effectively turning the ocean into the new Colorado River. Others argue for a forced migration, moving the population and the agriculture back to where the water actually exists. Is desalination the miracle we need to save the Southwest, or is it just another expensive distraction from the hard choices we are refusing to make? Let me know your take in the comments. The systems that underpin our modern life are fragile, and they are usually invisible until they stop working. The Colorado River isn't just a drought story, it is a warning. It is the moment where the system encounters a limit it cannot grow its way out of. The question isn't whether we can save the river. The question is, what happens to the cities and the crops that were built on the promise of water that was never really there? That is the story we will be watching as we move into the next decade.